Okay, guys, here we go. So they're starting with Incubus, which is a follower. What Incubus does is it just shoots your tiers. There's some exceptions to some of the tiers it can shoot, but for the most part, that is what it does. It's essentially a 2 times damage up. So we got 910 Dan to his boss first, or maybe not, because missingyes, his connection is a bit delayed, so there will be about a 5-second delay between the two streams. There's nothing I can do about that, it's just how it is. missingyes doesn't stream on Twitch, he streams on a Chinese streaming service because he is from Beijing. Or he is from China, I'm not 100% sure if he's from Beijing. So this is one of the more annoying rooms in the game, is these stupid little guys who spit out the spider things. Sometimes they'll just spit them out needlessly, and other times they'll just kind of stay in the corner. He is from Beijing, thank you. That's what I thought. I wasn't 100% sure though, and I've realized I was making an assumption. So both these runners doing pretty good. Taking the horse is a really good play, because it gives you flight, and flight is like super duper useful. And also lets you do that. Oh, pentagram right in there. Okay, so just making some decisions. He does pop his dice, but it doesn't give him anything. So he's actually going to skip the devil deal and just take the pentagram with him. The devil deal stays open, but he doesn't risk going to find a shop and maybe gain a battery. This is a pretty bad devil deal. Touching the Book of Belial, though, to keep his devil deal. He's going to touch the Satanic Bible as well. So he's one thing away from the like weird librarian double transformation. 910 Dan grabbing glitter bombs, which means that he'll sometimes drop items from his bombs. And neither runner took Eye of Belial. I'm wondering why there. Pretty much anything with Incubus is going to be really good, just because Incubus, like I said, it's essentially doubling your damage. Obviously, it's not consistent. It's not 100% consistent, but it's essentially that. I mean, on almost every single boss, you're always going to hit. And against some enemies, you're going to miss a few shots here and there. And there's a small rock for 910 Dan. For some reason, Dan's item tracker isn't updated. Sorry about that, folks. I don't know why it's not updating past the first items. But yeah, if you have any questions about the Blind Revise It, feel free to ask. Somebody in chat will answer, or I will. Just think of it like a Zelda, like a modern Zelda one. This is a very dungeon-oriented version, though, so it's not completely like Zelda 1, but it takes a lot of its inspiration from it. Mr. Dolly is a tiers up, which means it increases the tiers, which are the bullets that you shoot out. And this is useful, usually because, oh, hello, that's useful to keep that boss in the corner. And Angel runes for missingyes. missingyes is getting rewarded with, it doesn't look like anything. I'm not 100% sure on the new items though. 910 Dan is caught up. He's on this next boss. As you can see on the Racing Plus overlay, you can actually see who's in first. As soon as they transition floors, you get an update. And another nothing double deal. Crown of Light though, that's a double damage. So Angelum's paying off. I missed if he got another item from that deal, but man, kind of light by itself. Like, that's worth it. Dan checking the shop, gets the world card. That's a really, really useful pickup. So what it does is it actually reveals the map for one floor. So they do have the compass, but that sometimes can trip them up. So if they think a floor is too good to be true, they can use the world card to figure that out. Ooh, Dan getting interesting room layout. Ooh, and actually he gets hit. Luckily, the boss here isn't too bad. Dan just getting absolutely nothing from his items. Making sure to keep his world card while picking up caffeine pill. So on to the mom fight. Missingyes. Again, another one. Is he gonna fight the... No, but he does get the in-card chest. Takes the Polaroid. Ignores the deal. Moves on. Sorry, the room. Dan, get in. The Brimstone! Whoa. Late pickup, but... You ain't gonna be mad about that. Piecing out of the bedroom there. That's another bedroom. An L-shaped room. Is this rando? Yes. Yeah, one heart. So he's gotta play it safe. But this is where his double deals are, like, Brimstone is significantly better than I think what missingyes has beyond the if he can get any kind of safety. Tractors weren't working, no. Well, missingyes forgot to turn his on, but so Zawarudo over here is going to eventually give 910 Dan an advantage when he decides to use it. That is something that he has, although Bercano, did he get anything from this steal? He did get the mind. That's the soul. That's not bad. It's a 2 hearts. Ooh, it's another damage. Got a jail free card. That's basically one use of the key, so it lets him key out of a room, but not as good. And he has a pretty straightforward floor here, so he's not gonna grab that. That key is quite useful for the chest, because it does let you skip a room. And the chest normally is unskippable. Anton then has to play essentially perfectly here to get out of this. There, gets that room really well. And this is the fight where it's really gonna matter. He has to make sure that he dodges all of these bullets. This fight is essentially a bullet hell. Does it pretty cleanly. Grabs the heart, moves on. So now he's actually ahead. So the chest is where he's going to choose to use his world card. Doesn't even get soul hearts from the rock. So in Izet there are what are called tinted rots, and they are rots that are tinted a slightly darker color. Usually they have an X to them as well. They have a chance to drop soul hearts as well as an item called the small rock. Small rock deals 1 damage up and a small tears up, but it slows your movement down. But it's generally considered an extremely good item. You're seeing 910 Dan is doing a strategy. There are multiple ways to avoid the beams of light, and that is one of them. And here he goes, so he knows exactly where he has to go to beat the game. He will not do any extra rooms here. But he still has to complete every single room on his way to the boss. There's no stip-in rooms in the chest. So he has to play these rooms very safely. And there's still some randomness. Even though these are seeded runs, there's still some randomness to these rooms. But his brimstone is picking him up ahead. Gets rid of the haunt before it has a chance to do anything. Or sorry, not the haunt. I can't remember that guy's name. Crappy haunt, I guess. So we'll call him. And he dies very quickly to this double. Doesn't die. So, fun fact, in the original Binding of Isaac, that boss, in the original version of Wrath of the Lamb, like version 1 of that game, that boss would just insta-kill. It would have actually just killed 910 Dan there. Because the boss would shoot out brimstone lasers before you had a chance to react. So it's so infamous that even to this day, it's still... And there's Liz win. It's still memed to this day. So yeah, this is a best of 5. Okay. So our next one is going to be Lazarus with Tet 0 plus more. So this is Tet 0, what you're watching basically, is these electric bolts. I've been told it's a pretty fun item. Doesn't do something with everything. There are actually some items that... Oh, Blood Rights. Blood Rights is a very interesting spacebar item in that it has a few combinations in the game that just kind of insta-win you the game. interesting fact is that there are actually a lot of negative synergies to this item. So, for example, if you get Cricket's body, you start taking damage from your own electricity sometimes, so you have to be careful. But it's extremely powerful because it's usually the items where your tiers are. It's usually the times when your tiers would do just tons of damage to the enemy. So there's Magic Mushroom, so that's a 1.5 times damage up. So this is another one where they might get Angel Rooms because they got Krampus and not a Devil Deal. And Krampus means that they're not necessarily going to get the Devil Deal after this. So we might see Angel Rooms again. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Missingyes taking that using the blood rates, but I think that actually eats your Devil Deal chance. So, not sure if that was the right move. This start seems like a legit build. Well, all starts that they can select via the menu is a legit build, or via the Racing Plus are legit builds. Some of them are combinations to make some of the funner items work. It's like you can't technically start with the items that they started with here, but with this they can. SMB Superfan is actually pretty sweet. It actually increases your movement speed, which is always appreciated. Adela's Destruction is not super useful, but it can save you a bomb. Oh, Nineteen Dan ended up in a secret room, grabbing a bunch of chests before he moves on. So he's taking this a little bit slower, but he isn't. So he is in second right now. Let's grab this battery. He's gonna see something better. Okay, that's some health. Something he lacked, although he didn't really need much health last round. Well, if you want to do a run with this build idea, you can download the Racing Plus app. Oh, whoops. For some reason, my mouse cursor is being captured. I'll fix that. There we go. Oh, we finally have an Angel Room, and it's Holy Mantle. With Blood Rates, that's basically a free room clear. That's huge. So yeah, if you want to do any of these builds that you see, you can actually download the Racing Plus app. It's going to give you all the builds that these racers use. You can just do runs with them, seated or unseated. You can just do single player runs of Racing Plus. You can even do, and there's even a leaderboard for multi-character runs that you can do. There's seasons and a bunch of cool features that I would highly recommend looking into. And Izet's picking back up. Lots of old Izet streamers are back on the market. I've seen streamers like oh no, this message is brought to you by a guy who likes this game still, even though he hasn't bought it. So, 19 Dan has less health. That's actually a good thing. If he can get rid of it with a Devil Deal, it's going to be good for him. I should say he has less red health. Because the Polaroid lets you just annihilate bosses with the Blood Razor. Then slowly catching up to missingyes. This is an elimination round for these guys. That's the mark. And the 10 and 9 tail, so that's even more damage. This build is really starting to work out for these runners. Dan's gonna have to speed it up a bit. Doesn't get the free mushroom. So those mushrooms can actually drop magic mushroom. Very, very rarely, but they can. I think that once this tournament gets down to, I don't know, 4 or 6 people, maybe 8 people, I'm gonna see if we can just do all these matches at once, you know? I was making incorrect comments. I love the little eyes that shoot out. I love the way that they look on this build. Finds the Liberty Tap, so I can sometimes map out the floor for you. Am I still looking for co-casters? Somewhat, but it's a little too late for that. I'm okay. I'm just keeping it chill and quiet tonight. What's the race to? It's to the chest. Infestation 2 is my favorite item, and Undefined sends him right beside the boss room. So those teleports are actually completely seated, so 9 not taking that, or not getting that, is going to punish him. He is going to, unfortunately, most likely lose this race. And that is the run for missingyes. So we are going to see a game 3 right now in this best of 5. Game 3 is going to be Kane with Maw of the Void. Yeah, Isaac has a race mode. It's fully featured too. It is awesome. Okay, so yes, again, missingyes is a little bit behind now. It's weird because he was ahead before. He is streaming on a Chinese streaming service called Bilibili, which obviously means because he is in China itself, the delay is much closer. Yeah, anyone can mod this. Just type in !TBOI and it'll give you all the download and resources, which are in the Discord. You don't have to race with this mod, but you can do solo runs. You can also participate on a ranked leaderboard. So it's completely fan made by, or not even just fan made. It is specifically made by and for racers. Grabbing the Horror of Babylon, so that's a 1.5 damage up, a speed up, and a few other minor benefits. So they're rocking this build right now. They are tons of damage. I think somebody was working on an online co-op mod. I don't know if that person still is. There was somebody who had like a work in progress one, and then he was told to stop making it by the devs. The devs basically were like, hey, you, don't do that. I have no idea what the 7 seals are. But 9 Dan resurrecting. Oh, people assumed it was for the. It's the same reason that Nintendo asks people, or threatens people to stop making different things. It's dumb, but hey, you gotta do. They probably originally meant to actually put some work into their game, but then suddenly decided that they were lazy. So poor Isaac devs. There was a time you guys were good at what you did. But moving on, we're gonna see missingyes take down the boss. He's about a floor behind right now, but he's looking to catch up. He's not too far behind, and you have to remember that Dan is about 5 seconds ahead in stream. What did the Isaac devs do? Tons. Tons. Not paying their music guy properly. I was one of them. But Dan is just plowing through here. He's being a little bit more thorough than missingyes. That's actually paying off for him in this case. Ooh, and there's a damage up. He's opted not to grab it. Not sure what he's hoping for here. The Star is going to act as a random teleport in the next. Nice. Sack of sacks. I love the little horseman that follows you around. And that's my favorite follower, Pilots. It's so cute. Oh. And nope, doesn't take the guppy's tail. That'll be more useful for missingyes. Okay, so who's ahead? So right now it does show 9 Dan is ahead. So, but just by a little bit, I'm guessing. Yeah, they got more than enough damage with Maw of the Void, so skipping an item that has some negative effects is okay. Some people like to go balls to the walls and take every damage up they can. Where did he get hit by? I'm so confused. That fight can be very annoying because of stuff like that. He's not even grabbing all of the health ups he's getting from Maw. Just nuts. Again, a very annoying room. Any room with those ghosts can take quite a bit of time. It's one of the rooms that you definitely want to have bombs for. Oh. Charging it up gets the maw right away. Still can't believe I stayed up for this. But I did want to accommodate missingyes as best as I could. Both runners on the Isaac fight. 910 is a little bit ahead. Oh, mutant spider. Out of nowhere. Oh, such a useful stars card. So useful. So mutant spider is going to help clear out some of these later rooms. There's a lot of rooms that that are just going to like, he's just going to want to clear a little bit faster with Maw. But this room is much better with Maw. He just kind of plows through it, takes the damage. And then other rooms are going to have little guys, and this mutant spider is going to clear them out pretty quickly. He is like just going balls to the walls here. And there he goes, first place. Is this a stream watching race? Yes. Almost every Binding of Isaac race. I think that it's just kind of a accepted community thing. Not only can they choose to watch the race itself, they actually also choose to watch the they also have like the first and second place thing. So it's all up to them. Then a lot of racers opt to have the item tracker open. Uh-oh. Somebody said their client is down. Did Racing Plus decide to update? Oh no. No, that was not too long ago. So our next character is going to be Eve with Godhead. I assume it's VPM silliness. So Godhead is considered one of the coolest items. So that aura around it deals damage, so you actually want to slightly miss your tiers to optimize the damage dealt. So Eve is like actually got some of the worst stats in the game. Unless she is Whore of Babylon, in which case all of her negative stats are reversed, plus she gets a bonus. It's a random character with a random start. This is all automated, actually via a bot. If you've watched the ALTTP randomizer, you might know Alv, one of the restreamers. Although I haven't seen him do restreaming very much. He helped set up a bot to make the tournament flow a little bit faster. So that's how they choose the matches. The characters and the matches are actually set ahead of time, so I know all 5. Usually, so what happens is at the start of each match they ban 3 characters each and 3 starts each, I believe is what it is. It might be a bit more starts, and then the bot decides a random selection of matchups. The biggest changes is that every character starts with the backpack and the compass, and the D6, regardless of starts. Grabbing the sinus infection for 910 Dan. missingyes picking up the pack now. He's a little bit behind. The compass allows them. Compass does exactly what it does in Zelda 1, actually. So, what it does do. Oh wow, the sinus infection is just sticking on enemies. That's pretty useful considering the god tier. Oh, the backpack. The backpack gives you a second slot for an item, so it allows them to carry the D6 plus whatever their default starting item. So in Afterbirth Racing, rather than Afterbirth Plus, there was an issue where some characters we just didn't want to race with because they didn't get the D6, and it made racing those characters very, very unfun. But now that we have access to this mod and the ability to just kind of mod the characters at will, and with access to the backpack, we now can make the runs much more interesting and consistent. This means that 7 character Racing Plus runs don't even necessarily need to have Isaac. Lots of people would only do 7 character runs because those were like the best characters. But now with the dice and the Racing Plus mod, it's actually pretty common to do 7 character runs, or 9 or 11 or 13, 15, whatever character runs you want to do using the Racing Plus mod. And you know, I don't know what it is, but in the last month, a ton of old Isaac streamers have come back, so I think that the game is back on an upswing. It's gone through quite a lot of updates since Afterbirth Plus came out, and I think people are generally happy with where the game is. A lot of old streamers like Larsfest, Brain, I even saw Richard playing. I saw Cobalt playing a little bit more than he usually does, so I don't know what it is, but something came back. This game's on an uptick. Oh, the Succubus, this is some people's by far favorite item, by the way. This item was a big mystery for a while in Afterbirth Plus on what it exactly did, and it took us about a week or two, and then we realized it was actually not. We just assumed it was dealing lots of damage or just like high tits damage. That turned out it was dealing your tier damage in that radius and on a pretty rapid tick. So it turned out that once we sized it, it's one of the better items in the game. And when you're inside of it, it multiplies your tier damage. It's an extremely useful item. Shovel is allowed because everything is seated. Yeah, that shovel is going to give missingyes an advantage for many floors. The map though is going to give him an advantage. It's going to give Dan an advantage on the last few floors. So if he plays right, he could catch up. She made them a tiny planet soy milk. I think that that's a build with a few other things. I think that there is a tiny planet build. So it all depends on if it doesn't get banned and if they want to randomize it, and if it gets randomized in. Yeah, I would highly recommend following these racers if you like racing. I mean, you can't really follow missingyes. He's on a very different streaming service. Unless you were Chinese, then feel free. But 910Dan does races all the time. Um, if you're looking for other like Isaac streamers, because you know maybe you liked Isaac and you weren't 100% sure. I love supporting this community. I would highly recommend checking out Lars Fest, LarsFest, and then Brain TM, which is just Brain TM. Those are two very, very, very entertaining Isaac streamers. Um, Full disclosure, they are also were friends of mine. I haven't talked to either of them very much since they both took a lawn break from streaming. Oh, hello, knife. Home and knife incoming. So again, with the compass here, we're gonna get to see Dan map his way through, but I think I would have kept the god tiers, honestly. Home and knife is a little weird. It's a little unfortunate for Dan. That he missed the compass. Does every seed have the compass? Yes. Well, no. Every Racing Plus race, you have the compass. Okay, so missingyes could die. Oh wow, why tournament randomly gets mentioned in there. So I actually initially had ran the longest running tournament series for Afterbirth specifically. I ran the Lost Child Open, which was I think there was about 7 of them plus one very long tournament. Those were really fun to do. And then I took a break from the game when I started learning RPG runs. So I decided to put back on one via speed gaming with my relationships, the friendships that I built. This thing still has to be careful. Yeah, I thought I'd let people know that, I mean, if they're here, you probably have heard of Brain or Lars Fest. They're both fantastic runners. Brain does speedruns, while Lars Fest primarily does Eden Streets. I'd also recommend following Zamiel, who's the creator of this mod, another great runner. Moonsage Shigan do tournaments. I don't know. I wasn't watching Bite 2. I was very sleepy all day yesterday. I had to do a lot of work. And 910Dan catches up and passes somehow. That was a fantastic little run. So that is all that we have. Yeah, like I said, he had a chance if he played really, really well. If it wasn't 2 a.m. here, I would have been screaming. But it's 2 a.m. here, so I have to keep my voice pretty low. I hope that you guys enjoyed the chill little stream. There will be more Isaac coming up. It's very intermittent. We're not pushing it very fast. I'm considering talking to Feasel about just getting a bunch of these done all in a row. So like, I think that Cobalt Street introduced a lot of people to Bind and Revise It. I would say that in this order, people were shown Bind and Revise It. It was probably like Northern Lion, Cobalt Street, Rotley Smiles, the Balls of Steel channel plus Richard Hammer, and then like I think a lot of people actually found it through my tournament, because my tournament actually got a lot of views back in the day. But yeah, thank you so much. I did spoiler as well in the early days. Lots of people got introduced to Bind and Rise it that way. But thank you very much.